Hey, it's Gus. Checking in, making another update video. I wanted to talk a little bit actually about the coming out process and how I told everyone in my life that I was going on testosterone. Um, I am now like 5.5 weeks on T. I have my next shot Tuesday, which will be April 18th. Today's Easter, actually, so happy Easter to anybody celebrating. I'm not. I'm a recovering Catholic. But anyway, so I struggled a lot over the last, I guess, year, maybe year and a half with, am I going to go on T? Am I not going to go on T? How do I feel about it? How does my partner feel about it? How would my family feel about it? How would my employer feel about it? How would my friends feel about it? How would my band feel about it? My clients, my entire life. How would it affect my life for me to go on testosterone? And it took me a really long time to get to the point where I decided it was the right thing for me to do. And I think one of the factors that really kind of pushed it along was the constant misgendering, the absolute non-recognition of my trans self, being read as a butch lesbian all the time, being called she, her, ma'am, miss, all of those things. It just got too heavy. It got to be too heavy of a burden that I just couldn't carry anymore. And it took me a long time to get to the point where I could really feel confident about doing something to relieve that burden. A lot of folks in my life basically were like, well, you have to wait for society to change and you're just going to have to kind of suffer through it. Frankly, I think that that's crap. I think that we are absolutely in control in some ways of doing things to make ourselves feel better. And what I really mean by that is, like, at the end of the day, we can't control people's perceptions of us. But for me, my own perception of myself, inside versus outside, was no longer in alignment. It hasn't been in alignment for a long time, but it wasn't something that I was super conscious of. So I just got to the point where I just couldn't take it anymore. It was too painful. And I just decided that if I didn't try testosterone, I was going to be, curious about it for the rest of my life. And putting it off. And I figured I'm 36. I don't really want to put it off anymore. Funny enough, too, I took a picture of myself outside in my yard, and the way that the sun hit me, I looked like an older lesbian. It looked like my hair was salt and pepper, which is not yet anyway. And I just looked about 55, and I was like, I don't think that I can grow old in this body. I don't think I can do that. Not the way that it is. So that was one of the biggest catalysts for me of just doing it. But, I couldn't talk to my partner about it. She was not in a place to hear me without her own fears and concerns and past experience with other trans partners and the like. It really impacted her feelings about me starting this part of my journey. And that was, it was upsetting. We're still in couples therapy, but we started going to couples therapy probably about 9 months ago now. Something like that. And we had one session where we talked about it, and then we kind of never talked about it again. Yet it was something that I was always thinking about, was how do I bring this up again, because the feelings about wanting to go on T are not going away, they're just getting stronger. And a really good friend of mine, my best friend, my buddy Max, he pointed out that when he first met me, which was a little over a year ago, that I wasn't really serious about testosterone. It was a thing that I kind of casually talked about, but didn't really talk about it in relation to myself. And he said that recently, like in the last couple of months, I've just been way more angry about it, way more angry about the misgendering, way less able to let it roll off me, and just way more intense about the whole thing, which kind of got me thinking, I have to do it, I have to try it, I have to go for it, and I have to see if it's the right thing for me. I can't just talk about it anymore. So I made the decision to go ahead, and if you've watched any of my other videos, especially my first video, my first shot, I wasn't expecting to get my shot the day that I went to my doctor, but I was given the choice because of informed consent. And it was funny sitting in that room with the doctor, and she's going, "So you want to do this?" And I kind of look at my partner like, "Yeah, I want to do this." And my partner's like, "Oh my God, are we really going to do this?" So it was really bad. It was really awkward for the first few days with her. I don't know if she was like mourning me, or just having to get over a lot of her thoughts and feelings, because it's basically what I want and what she wanted were in direct opposition of each other. And how do you navigate through that scenario? The thing that I wanted to do the most was one thing that could really hurt my partner, really hurt my relationship, really change my entire life, which I can't even tell you the ways that it's already changed my life. Fortunately, nothing negative. But so actually that kind of leads me to, when I haven't told my dad yet. We don't see each other very often. We have a good relationship, but he lives in another state, and we don't see each other too much. We see each other maybe like 5-6 times a year, or something like that. I'm going to look a lot different, I think, the next time I see him. But certainly going to sound different. So when I told my mom, it was after 3 weeks had gone by. I had 2 shots, and I called her after the second shot, and I was like, "Hey, I don't know how to tell you this, so I'm just going to tell you I started hormone treatment." And her response was, "Are you going to grow a beard?" And I said, "I don't really know. I'm kind of undecided about facial hair at this point." And she said, "Well, is it safe?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm working with a great doctor. I go to Callan Lord Community Health Center. I'm under, good supervision through this process." And she said, "Well, frankly, I'm more concerned that you won't go vegan again," which is, something that only my mother would say. That the fact that I eat meat is more important to her than, or significant to her rather, than me going on testosterone. So, all of my fears were definitely alleviated after speaking with her. This was, in essence, like my teenage rebellion, which is kind of fitting considering I'm going through puberty again now. But, I never really had to rebel when I was a teenager. She was a really cool parent who didn't really get in my way with stuff. And so everything that I've thrown at her, she's kind of just been like, "All right, what's next?" It's kind of amazing to have a parent like that. But I think my fear was just rejection or disappointment or confusion or real sadness. But I think because I've come out kind of in sections rather slowly, it's given everybody in my life, especially her, kind of a chance to adjust to the next stage before I go one step further. So because non-binary is part of my identity, I don't really know where my endpoint is going to be, and I'm actually really okay with that. And I think for me, my personal work is just to take it one day at a time, like literally one day at a time. See how I'm feeling that day. Look at my life that day. Not worry about what 6 months down the line is going to feel like, or a year, or when I might be done with my transition, because that's not really a thing that can happen. So, sorry, the dogs heard something outside. They might start barking. But anyway, so the kind of, instead of not asking my mom for permission, but kind of getting her approval before I did it, this was like the first major life thing I've done where I've done it and then told her about it. So I think at 36, that's a real sign that I'm finally growing up and becoming an adult. Anyway, so, and I ended up telling my boss on the same day. And my boss's reaction was kind of like, amazing, I'm so happy for you, I knew this was coming. I didn't know this was coming. I think part of the narrative that goes on in the world about trans people has to do with the medical transition part and a really large focus on that part, which is not always, not at all, the way that trans people choose to transition. I mean, for me, I had top surgery first, even before I came out as trans. And then, you know, I came around to my trans identity and really embraced it. And then it was change in pronouns, change in name. Actually, it was name then pronouns, so we're kind of on the same day. And then now testosterone. And so, you know, for someone to say I saw this coming, maybe they saw something in me that I didn't see yet, but from where I was sitting, it was a complete and utter lack of decision. I just didn't know if this is something I really wanted to do or not. But I'm here and I'm doing it, and I can completely say that I've never felt better in my entire life, and that I absolutely know that this is the right thing for me doing. So all of my stress over it, all of my emotional ups and downs, all of my back and forth, I'm doing the right thing. I made the right decision. And I'm enjoying it so far. I mean, there are things about it that are weird. Like, I've only gotten called ma'am twice in the last, 2.5 weeks, which is a personal record, considering it used to be, 4 times a day at least. So that's something. And I can't cry anymore. I used to cry at everything. I used to cry at fucking commercials, Disney movies, whatever it was. I would cry. I haven't cried since my first shot. I feel like the way that I communicate with people is a lot more concise, not blunt, but just concise. Like, I don't overtalk things. If the answer is yes, I'm not going to beat around the bush about it. I'm just going to say yes. I don't know. I'm going through a lot of things that I've heard people describe of, and sorry for my language, but that I basically want to, kill or fuck everything. And I heard that in a video the other day, and I'm stealing it because it kind of makes sense. I had a gig last night, and I wanted to murder 6 people before I got on stage. It's a really intense feeling of extremes, maybe is a good way to put it. Of everything is amplified, everything is magnified, and it's funny because my therapist was talking about how this was going to be a possibility. Because I'm hungry all the time, and he's like, well, that hunger is going to present itself in other ways. You're just going to, be hungry for more of everything. And I think that that's totally true. It changes a little bit every day, but, yeah, I mean, it's feeling really good so far. Emotionally, mentally, physically, I just feel good. I feel solid, really solid. And I'm really psyched for my next shot. So yeah. So anyway, dosage update, I'm doing 0.5 cc every 10 days. And I'm doing intramuscular injections. And I gave myself my first shot, 7 days ago? So, yeah, about 7 days ago. So yeah. And this should be my last shot that I have to do at the clinic before they let me go home with all my supplies, so I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, my voice is getting hoarse. I'm going to save it because I heard that when you're going through these changes, you shouldn't try to push your voice. And I have an Easter dinner to go to with some chosen family. So that's it for now. Yeah, so this is the 5-week check-in, emotional, physical, mental, all that good stuff. If you're watching these videos, I really appreciate it. I hope that you're getting something out of them, and always feel free to leave a comment or a question, and I will check in a couple days after my next shot. So, see you later.